Hello and welcome back to Rage Gaming, and very soon back to Monster Hunter. Title Update 4 looks like the biggest update yet, with some definitely tough content, so you want to be ready for it. Now with that in mind, here's everything major you want to know about the update, when it's coming, and what you can do to prep. Firstly, we have the sad but important news to know. Title Update 4 will be the final major update for Wilds and its base version, but not necessarily the final update itself, like Arch-Tempered Arkveld to end things off. Further optimizations updates are coming though with Title Update 4, and another one's coming in January confirmed. They're also considering another for February based on how Title Update 4 goes, so lots of optimization and updates to come from here on. With that said, let's look at Gogmazios, aka Gog. To have him unlocked for the update, you need to have Hunter rank 100 or higher, and have defeated high rank Zoshia as well. Certainly not a crazy request at this point of the game, certainly for anyone playing the game since launch, or even update to update, but still good to know. What kind of hunt Gog actually is being debated a bit. It's certainly not a normal hunt like Omega, but is it a siege? Maybe not. The thing is, you could absolutely solo Omega. It wasn't a massive monster beyond the reason to do that. Gog is certainly special. You'll be able to have up to 4 players fighting it, right? But at the same time, you'll also have 4 support hunters helping too. So that suggests if you go to solo this hunt, you probably have the 4 support hunters in the mix on top, making for 5 hunters in one fight, even in the smallest version. Now that's not that different to Omega for most people. I beat Omega for the first time with the 3 support hunters, as they seemingly intended, and then tried to solo it later when I was very confident with the fight, which was also very doable. There's also the mess that was multiplayer before we had a consistent understanding of the mechanics, so I think GOG will start out as they explain, with big groups of hunters fighting at the very least, but how will it evolve beyond that? Will solo be possible? We'll see. Either way, they've made a big deal out of the 2 support hunters, Fabius, who can only be a support hunter at specific times, and Nadia returning as well. Nadia will also only be available for a set time, and won't be possible as a support hunter in all hunts even then, so I do expect it to be very strong as a support hunter while she's available. In regards to Fabius, it certainly seems like he'll be playing a key role in the fight, screaming at us at one point to get behind him. Likely a special attack that we have to hide from, and he's the only option. So he's got a lot of faith in his shield. Next we have the equipment. There's a lot to say about this, so here's a quick look at the armor. As usual, we expect a new and interesting 2 and 4 set bonus for this one, and likely some power creep for builds, nighter skills and bigger decoration slots, we'll see. So far, Wild has done a pretty great job with the sets, lending themselves to 1 or 2 pieces in meta sets, working into the meta, rather than completely power creeping it and just being the best obvious option. That's more classic power creep. Having said that, if it was going to happen at any time, this update would make sense. For the weapons though, this is where it's a bit more involved. We have the major artian update that's been promised for Title Update 4. And it's not screwing us over. Amazing. So the original artian weapons introduced surprisingly good long-term grind. And you know, we're playing the game for about a year now. A lot of people have good artian rolls that they don't want to lose, and they're very aware of that. So GOG weapons aren't truly fresh weapons. They're going to take your current artian weapon and upgrade them, giving them the new GOG visuals if you want them, and all kinds of other perks. So these are known as the Gogma artian weapons per the showcase, and you make them by combining GOG materials with your current artians and yeah, upgrading them. But there is RNG here, a lot of it. As shown, we choose from 3 main GOG materials for attack, affinity or element. So it's not a straight upgrade the whole way, there are some traits they're making us do. So when we see, it looks like by gaining element, you'll be losing some affinity, 5% as shown here. Now why would they do this? Why would you make you trade? Probably because power creep the game has us gaining, say, a lot of affinity and other stats. Maybe this is their way of preventing like an easy 100% for everyone. We'll have to see how it turns out. On the topic of element, they've raised the element cap in general, which is important with the reinforced bonuses we're seeing. Before we get into that, they do show us how these weapons gain set bonuses. The type of set bonuses you'd normally get from wearing 2, 3 or 4 pieces of an armor set. You'll be getting these from the weapons. So that's pretty crazy in potential, but which bonuses are possible? What are their actual values, compared to the normal version? They're all under a unique tag called active skills, and there's 2 slots for them as shown here. This example with the hammer has Zuu's vigor and scale layering. And we saw another one with Lord Soul, so that's a big deal. Either way, we also have the reinforcements, which takes the current bonuses and makes them stronger, or you can change them if you want. So if you have the current ideal artian weapon, you could just make it the same weapon but better line for line, taking say each element boost from plus 50 on Charge Blade to plus 90 per line, hence why they had to raise the element cap. Overall, you would take your artian weapon and upgrade it, tweaking the base item stats, giving it new visuals if you want. You'll have 2 active skills for set bonuses, and the reinforcement bonus raises too, reaching EX status at the highest we've seen. Our longer term goal will be to target the changes we want to make and then get the god rolls that we want for that, working towards it over time. We will be able to reroll these GOG weapons and their set bonuses and their stats instead of remaking the whole thing from scratch, which is a big relief. But yeah, that'll be our new long-term grind. Next, the armor changes, what they're calling armor transcendence. It's a new feature to give armor better defense stats and improve decoration slots. However, before you get too excited, the decoration slot increase will only apply to things like rarity 5 and 6 armor. So a lot of the meta pieces that are higher rarity than that won't get better decoration slots, but they'll still benefit from the increased defense stat. But it's definitely relevant. Plenty of gear like the Mizu set, potentially the Ebony Odo set. There are good pieces where you might run one piece or maybe even two now by raising the decoration slot value and becoming more competitive. And everyone's going to get higher defense either way, which we might need with what's coming. Now for other title update 4 launch details, we have 9-star changes and support hunters. There's going to be 2 more support hunters added, a great sword user and light bow gunner that are always going to be available. And according to the patch, we're going to feel that support hunter output will increase with this update, likely to prep for the relevance in the GOG fight, but also their general output outside of major fights like Omega and GOG 2. There's also 9-star updates then. There's going to be a special 9-star tempered Tashagama, and a wandering 9-star tempered Rathalos, which should be an oilwell basin and scarlet. There's 9-star monster hunts without investigations, though naturally no investigation rewards there. A new special trio monster hunts look pretty tough. 9-star quests, forcing you to take on Raidao, Dashagama and Seragios in one hunt, or Otuna, Mizu and Legiacrus in one hunt. And then finally you got new Udra, Jarakan and Rathalos for their respective location. So each apex that currently has an arch-tempered in their own region. The rewards for this is a special nameplate that display that look really cool. And we can probably expect in a future update after Arch-Tempered Jin dahaad is out, maybe like an iceshard cliffs version. Though to be fair, Jin does have his own area and path, so maybe that's why it's not there. We'll see. But then we have major title update 4 updates that release a little bit later than launch, like the winter event Lumen Hymn. This drops on December 19th and will last all the way to January 14th, which I'm pretty sure is our longest seasonal event yet. With that, you can expect all the classic stuff from a seasonal event. The hub visual update, all the NPC changes, and their somewhat fluffy, dare I say, furry theme here. Anyway, there's going to be grand hub decorations, a canteen menu special, barrel bowling and bombs and changes there, the new Diva song, probably 5th gen if I had to guess, event quests, and as usual, it'll be a great time to farm things you need. Be that armor spheres, ingredients, or other resources. Although they have given us permanent versions of these and they are good, the season events are usually the most rewarding, so it should be an important time for us to farm in Title Update 4. Now not long after that, we have the Arch-Tempered Apex, Jin dahaad. He drops on December 24th, and according to the Twitter, will also require Hunter Rank 100+, like our last AT. From him we'll get our next Gamma set, which by the way, looks incredible. They've literally got it frozen at the edges, what a cool detail. AT New Udra was fantastic compared to the others, so I do have high hopes for Jin. And I did mention Arkveld earlier, as he is coming part of the last big update for the game that won't be a special title update. AT Arkveld will land in February as we come up to like the 1 year since launch, and will be the final AT monster confirmed. But yeah, Gamma set expected there, and again, potential power creep expected. It will be like the final set added to the game, it would seem, so that's very likely. The last thing I want to talk about is the major balance changes and patch that comes with Title Update 4. I do have an in-depth video going through every important change, especially the weapon changes if you want to look into that. But of course, we'll be testing everything and covering it all after it drops. But highlights include, as I mentioned before, an element cap increase, but also things like monster parts being more valuable when you're crafting armor spheres via the foundry, so that's going to be really nice, especially in prep for transcendence. Or how larger shield users, such as Lance and Gunlance, are going to find their shields a lot more reliable, especially against major attacks, alongside the improvements to the guard up as a skill. There was a huge list of changes for weapons like switch axe and bowguns. We're really hoping that the Swax changes encourage a more varied playstyle than just full release spam. And interestingly, new mechanics for the insect glaive that give you alternatives to the claw grip. Like I said, the bow's getting some big buffs, so maybe Dragon Piercer will be back on the menu and other options. But honestly, all the weapons got something interesting or useful, even if it was small, like Longsword being able to hold its special sheath stance for longer. Outside of weapon stuff, we do have a pile of skills that had important changes. There's going to be some flare potential coming up, and lots of new moves will work for the bonus damage skills to make them more reliable too. Things like Scorcher and White Flame Torrent will have shorter cooldowns, stronger effects, and also, yeah, trigger on more attacks. But again, if you want to check out the full in-depth video on this topic, go do so. What can you do right now to prep is our final topic. Well, firstly, with the artian information finally out, we now know that artian materials you have now are kind of separate from it. You need to have an artian weapon and you need to have it reinforced. Ideally, you'd have one that's got the ideal rolls that you care about. Whether it's like 4 attack boost and a sharpness, 3 and 2 sharpness, maybe you're going for the 4 element boost, which will be much more relevant after this update. And then you're going to be upgrading it into a Gogma weapon. So having that base that you're building on from there on is a good thing, which means your artian mats right now, you don't have to be fearful with them. You can engage with it now, roll your artians, try to get an ideal weapon for whatever you're going to run, and then you'll have that base ready for the Gogma version and the RNG that's going to come with that. I do think the odds that you don't have an artian weapon ready by this point for what you care about is unlikely, but if you're thinking about trying a different weapon, this would be a good time to prep it. On top of that, we have, the transcendence for armor. So having fully upgraded armor in general is a really good idea, obviously. But with us getting new upgrades to it, you want them to be fully upgraded in prep for transcendence. So you could go ahead and farm some armor spheres. Having said that, farming high tier monsters for parts to use for the better armor sphere crafting once that drops in Title Update 4 is also a very valid option right now. But in that case, you'd be saving your materials to turn into armor spheres until after the update when the conversion rate's better. So, heads up and think about that. If you want to farm armor spheres directly then rather than craft them right now, that is certainly a thing you could do. There's the Masterless Claws event quest as a decent source of it, but don't forget, when we get the seasonal event for winter, again, that is usually a fantastic time for event quests and armor sphere farming in specific. So you could of course wait for that, do both, whatever you feel like. The main thing for prepping right now is understanding things are going to be hard, and if you were underprepared for Omega, which to be fair a lot of people seem to be, it's definitely worth putting in a little bit of time now, getting comfortable with the game again so you can take on GOG in a strong position. Not just equipment wise, but not being rusty and all that. But yeah, there you have it. I hope this overview hits everything you needed to know, and hopefully encourages you to hop on now, maybe prep your character, get familiar again. It should be a tough update after Omega really challenged people, but I'm definitely looking forward to it. We'll be covering it all as it happens though, so until then, I've been Hollow, you've been you, and thanks for watching.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.